and your safety officer where applicable. But I highlighted in yellow so that you would be more comfortable knowing that you are supposed, the PTA rather, ought to be represented on the school-based management team. And it is not a negotiable item. They must include the PTA representative. So that was step one, becoming a member and understanding that you're not there by choice. You're there because the ministry mandated that principals and school-based management teams include a member of the PTA. Step two, you need to know which dimension your school is working on. There are several dimensions for school improvement. Key stakeholder engagement, physical infrastructure, exams, testing and assessment, curriculum, delivery, teacher development, student services, leadership and management. These are the key areas where we want schools to focus on their improvement. So you need to know, parents, from your schools, which dimension they are working on at this point in time, or how many dimensions. The reason why you want to know that, so that you can have a say in proposing the possible solutions for each dimension. And how are you going to propose the solutions? Well, first of all, you collect data on each dimension. So you collect data on your key stakeholder engagement. How many parents attending meetings? Are the parents attending meetings virtually? Do they prefer to have meetings in the evening after work? Collect your data on each dimension. And after you collect your data, you're going to now create possible solutions, a number of possible solutions, which you share with the principals. However, these solutions or goals or objectives must be SMART goals, SMART objectives, or SMART solutions. And when I say SMART solutions, I mean SMART stands for, it's the acronym SMART, and it stands for, the S stands for specific. Your goal or your objective or your solution must be clear and well defined. The M stands for measurable, right? You must be able to track the progress of your solution. You want to know whether it's working or not. A stands for achievable. Your goal or your solution must be realistic given the school's capacities. The R stands for aligned, relevant, meaning that it must be aligned with your school priorities and the students' needs. Remember, the students are our priority. And the T means it's time bound. It has to meet a set deadline. An example of a goal is highlighted in the blue box below, or solution. One of the goals in a school that I'm attached to, they want to increase parental attendance at PTA meetings from 40 to 70% by term 3 of 2025 through outreach and holding meetings at more convenient times. Now, when you look at this goal, it is specific. We want to increase parental attendance. It is measurable because I want to increase it from 40 to 70%. So at each meeting, I will take my attendance. Good. It is achievable. So I didn't say 100% because I would never ever get 100% parents at any one point in time because people have things to do. All right. It's relevant anything to do with parental attendance at the school will always be relevant. And it's time bound. I wanted to do this by term 3 of 2025. So that is just an example of how you can format your solutions. So what you have as step 2 is to create a number of these solutions that you could propose at your school-based management meetings. Then, mind you, you ought to have by minimum 4 meetings, SBM meetings per year. The more the merrier, but minimum 4. And these are minuted meetings where you take attendance, etc. Now, after you create your suite of goals, your package of goals, or the solutions that you think would work at the school, the next step is to put them in order of priority. And you want to put them in order of priority so that you can focus attention and investment on the most pressing needs at the school or your high impact initiatives. Remember, schools operate with finite resources. They don't have unlimited resources, unfortunately. So prioritizing your SBM goals or your solutions or your objectives help. And how do you prioritize your goals? You prioritize them based on four key areas. You want to look at impact. Will your goal significantly improve student outcomes or improve the school operations or the academics? You want to look at the goal or your objective with respect to urgency. Does this address an immediate problem or something that can wait 2 or 3 years down the road? You want to look at the feasibility of the project because there are limited resources, good? Limited people, limited time, limited money. And lastly, you want to look at alignment. Does it support the national policy, the Ministry of Education policy, the school's vision, or the PTA, the PTA's vision, and the PTA policy? So, ladies and gentlemen, after you prioritize your goals, step 4 is that you create a 1-year action plan. So you take all the goals or your solutions or the objectives that you can realistically accomplish in 1 year, and you create an action plan so that you can monitor the progress of the initiative or the plan. Now, when you have all the plans, the school-based management plan is a 3-year plan. Out of that 3-year plan, you're creating 1 action plan for 1 year. Your first year, then you create an action plan for the second year, and then you'll create an action plan for the third year. So you're just pulling out all your realistic goals in any given year, and you monitor where you track their progress. And lastly, step 5, you present the plan to the stakeholders because you want to get buy-in from all stakeholders relevant to the school. Ladies and gentlemen, I felt that if I had taken time to listen to the parent and the student, as I spoke earlier, probably she might be alive today and I may have been able to help. I made a promise to myself that I will seek to create child-friendly schools in my district. But not only that, I will always stop and take time to listen to students and their parents and acknowledge all the issues surrounding adolescent and youth development. And it's from that moment I began to see that the actions of parents and the actions of students are telling me a story that I need to read. So as I leave you this evening, I challenge you to step up in a way that you have never did before. And as you do so, to become active members of your school-based management team, I will be there to definitely cheer you on. Now, if there are projects that you're working on, feel free to share it in the chat and let us know what you're working on. At this point, I want to open up the floor for any questions that you may have at this point in time.
Good evening, Mr. Peters.
Good evening.
Can we just ask
I
that you please just raise your hand and then identify yourself, right? So we know who's speaking. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Carly Noel from the Tranquility Secondary PTA unit. I'm the president. What I want to know concerning the school base, there's a document we were told that the school should have. Is it with rules and regulations concerning this? And what type of I requested it already, but I haven't gotten it. So I just want to know what it will entail. And
what the schools would have would be the school-based management manual. You don't necessarily need to go to the school for that. You can get it straight off the Ministry of Education's website. What I can do, I can forward a copy to your regional secretary and the president, and they can disseminate it to you. Outside of that, the other documents would be previous school-based management plans from previous years, which are public documents which would be resident at the school. So, however, I wouldn't fuss about that too much because all the schools in Port of Spain are required to do new school-based management plans for September coming. So between now and September, you ought to be invited to a meeting regarding school-based management. And you'll be crafting now a new document for the next 3 years, putting solutions for each year based on the dimensions that I highlighted earlier, like curriculum, exams, stakeholder engagement. Right? I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Mr. Peters, I would ask that you send a copy either to myself, as you suggested, or the regional secretary, because I did try to find it online, and I was only seeing the cultural transformation. I did not see the SBM. So if you could forward that would be great. We will share it with the units.
Yeah, I would ensure that you have the latest update. For those switching, you're looking for school-based management manual number 3.
Okay.
Right?
Thanks.
We're not using 1 and 2 anymore. We have updated it and added more elements to it. Right?
School-based management.
Sorry?
Sorry, we're just confirming that the school-based management is mandatory in all schools, because I believe there are some presidents who have indicated that they are not a part of the school-based management or they're not aware. So I'm glad that you were able to share that information, that it is in fact mandatory, that all schools should have it and all PTA members should be on it. Correct?
Right. Yes. And I would highlight not PSGs, not support groups. It must be
PTAs, yes,
persons duly registered under the national PTA.
yes, correct. I see we have a question from our second vice. I see his hand is up.
Hi, yes, Mr. Peters. My question is how successful, twofold, how successful has the school-based management program or initiative been in addressing issues at our schools within the last 5 years? I hope it's not a hard question, within the last 5 years. And how old is this program? So what I'm really asking is the success rate of the program and how old is the program? Because I see you're constantly amending. You just spoke to the president and mentioned that there's an updated manual of sorts. So I'd love to have those questions answered.
All right. It's constantly being amended because we want to stay current and up to date with ministry policy. For instance, cultural transformation, that is one of the newer policies coming out. Digital transformation as well, one of the newer policies coming out. So we want the manual to be relevant with the times. Good. School-based management as a concept has been around for at least the last 20 years. My first workshop was in 2026 thereabout. Good. We have ramped up our drive to have schools do it within the last 10 years within the Port of Spain district. So within the last 5 years, you have ongoing training. So schools are at different points in their journey to school-based management. There are some schools with plans already ready, up and running, and active PTA, and there are some schools that are still doing training and development for their PTA, for their teachers, and other members of. So the successes vary. Schools that do implement it are seeing the success. They have great stakeholder engagement. Their level of indiscipline is at a low level. Their level of academic achievement, and it is like that because the school-based management plan, the action plan, and school-based management on a whole allows the school administration and the UDPTA to laser focus on the solution and the problem. So I would answer your questions. Some schools are very successful. Some schools are work in progress. By September, we want all schools to have their plans up and running. However, we know the reality. So we're going to be taking a position of guidance and support for both PTA groups and the school itself. So after today's session, you could still reach out to myself through your president, and I could come and do individual sessions with the individual PTA, or I can liaise between you and your principals to get the ball rolling. Now,
thank you.
Outside of Trinidad and Tobago, the schools in the Caribbean and the schools in North America and Europe that are using it are tremendously successful, especially the urban schools within New York. They do a lot of work with school-based management. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. I think that's quite clear in terms of responsiveness, and I'm taking it that this goes all the way to the Ministry of Education, their think tank as to how best to address our current plague of issues. And I say plague because our main issue is we know these children that have come post-COVID into the realm of fighting, the realm of social media. So I know that's a major challenge, but I'm glad to hear that there's successes and the hope of even more to come as we engage. Thank you very much.
Right. And again, the feel free to reach out to schools. We have a very open sharing where the successes and the school-based management plan. So you can reach out to the principals of other schools and find out how they've been, what the journey was like. All right. Now, bear in mind, I also say that we had a lot of change in administration over the last 5 years as well. So some of the principals are also being trained and retrained because they would have been teachers when the school-based management plan and was being developed, and now they're leading the process. So I want to reiterate the point that as school supervisors, we're taking the position of counsel, guidance, and support. So if a school or a PTA, you're not ready with your school-based management plan, we're not coming in to punish you. We're coming in to give you some guidance and support to lead you along that path until you get your plan up and running. And unfortunately, some schools don't have a PTA. So
we're working on that here at the regional level.
So I'm very heartened when I'm seeing the progress that schools are on launching their PTA bodies, and that is a step in the right direction.
Right?
Very much. Any questions?
Sorry, you could repeat? You're breaking up there a bit.
No, I was just asking if we had any other questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. I will hand you over to our Public Relations Officer, Ms. Toya Louison, who will do the vote of thanks. She's the Regional Public Relations Officer and also the Acting President of Woodbrook Secondary. But before I do that, members, this will not be our last session. We're in continuous communication with the district office, and we will be coming with other webinars of this nature that can help our presidents and our units guide them along their PTA. So I'm handing over to our Public Relations Officer, who will do the official vote of thanks.
Thank you so very much, Madam President. Everyone's hearing me, right?
Yes, loud and clear, loud and clear.
I apologize. I'm on another activity, but I'd really like to begin by thanking Mr. Dale Peters, our gracious facilitator, School Supervisor 3, for facilitating this important discourse and for recognizing the PTA as a vital stakeholder in the education system. Your continuous commitment to collaboration really reflects a shared dedication to improving the educational experience for all, and we really recognize that from the PTA. With great respect and appreciation, I'd also like to acknowledge our president of the National PTA, Mr. Walter Stewart, who was here with us earlier, as well as to our regional president, Ms. Jana Thomas, and the members of our regional executive. I'd really like to say thank you to the PTA leaders on the call, who, with your steadfast support and your continued push to elevate the standard of the PTA, your partnership and your participation really grows our efforts, and it continues to show from day to day. Tonight's engagement really reaffirms that when parents, educators, and administrators work together, we can create an impactful solution. We would have learned a lot this afternoon, and we really want to thank the facilitator for this contribution, this commitment, and collaborating with us. Back on to you, Madam President.
Before I allow the president to speak, I want to say one of the things coming out from this. I am going to create a PTA SBM toolkit. I was going to put it in the chat. However, I am going to send it to your president So it will summarize the key areas that you could zero in on from the manual. And it's sort of a checklist that the parents and the PTA bodies could use. And I also want to say, on behalf of the Port of Spain and Environs Educational District, to thank all the PTA groups and the national executive and the regional executive. Thank you for building better schools with us.
Thank you very much. And we are also very happy to hear about that PTA toolkit. We actually have a PTA toolkit that we are developing. So we will include it in that, the SBM PTA toolkit. We will include it in our PTA toolkit. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your messaging. Before we said that we were going to end at 7, and I think that we are on target. The link, he will share the link. I'm seeing a question coming in the chat. He will share the information via the regional secretary, and we will share it with the executive, or he will send it to me, but you all will get it as soon as it is received. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a great night. Also remember that we do have upcoming training sessions on PTA planning. We have the public relations training that is coming up next week. We have the PTA strategy planning session that is also coming up next week, and the PTA toolkit, which is replacing our regular general meeting. Sorry, the PTA boot camp that is replacing our regular general meeting on the 4th Saturday of this month. So please look out for that, especially to our newer and developing PTAs. Thank you again, everyone, and have a blessed night. Thank you again so much, Mr. Peters. I will give you a call shortly.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Thank you, Madam President. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Mr.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Blessed
night.
night.
Thank you, Mr. Peters and Madam President.
Thank you.
Online from Carol Sarah.
Thank you, everybody.
Here it is.